Hey guys, what is up? Hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday. I've debated for about a week or so whether or not I want to do this video. Um, a lot of it is I'm just looking to avoid confrontation. I'm looking to avoid basically anybody who wants to argue this point. And I'm not making this in direct spite of anyone. This is more of a conversation piece. But I want to say about a couple months ago, somebody asked the question, do you think retro collecting is a dying hobby? A lot of people said it was not. I feel that the minority says that it is. And I've got to be completely honest with myself, moving this channel forward. So this is going to be a little bit of a soul-bearing episode, I guess. And but I really wanted to think on this as to whether or not I 100% feel that is this hobby a dying hobby? Well, in a wide scale decision, no, it's not. A lot of people are getting into the hobby to collect the games they grew up with, stuff that they played years ago they want to get back into, and also to explore areas of gaming they have yet to experience. However, if we're talking about the area of retro collecting, more as far as like completing a collection, I think in that respects, it's a lot more difficult in that area to say that it isn't a dying hobby, especially now. If you're collecting anything that is a cart, you're going to be paying some big money. Sega, obviously, a lot less cheaper than Nintendo. Nintendo prices on carts have skyrocketed over the last several years. When I first started collecting video games, it was like the late 2000s, like around 2007, 2008. And I could easily find some premium titles without paying over $5 a pop. And then I noticed right around 2010, that was when a lot of larger channels really started coming into. A lot of bigger YouTube channels really started revealing themselves and coming out of the woodwork. And my inspiration for starting my channel was actually the Game Chasers. And me and some friends were actually part of a small little group with the Game Chasers. And this is like, I think this was before they even started filming for season 2. I think there were only 20,000 subs at that point, maybe even less. And I want to say around that point, collecting had really been getting good. Right around 2011, 2012, I noticed that the marketplace for a lot of the games has really started to go up. And I want to say like up until like probably a year or two ago, where I live, it is next to impossible to find anything that is played on any cart-based console. It's next to impossible to find them for a reasonable price. And if you do find them, it's quite literally like the crap of the crap. So basically, like, as far as collecting goes, I have not gone on my way to buy a cart-based game in probably over a year. I no longer collect cart-based games except for Nintendo 64, which even then I really don't even buy. I usually trade for, or on the rare occasion I do happen to find them, I pick them up. N64 is a console I actually find somewhat regularly. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, forget it. Like most secondhand stores now are selling even like the sports titles for almost $10 a pop. And honestly, if it's anything else that even looks like it's a decent game, they're going to be asking next to online prices. So back to my question. Is retro collecting a dying hobby? It depends. As I said before, if you're looking to complete collections, prepared to have a lot of money because it's not easy. I think it's a lot harder now for people to seriously get into it on any kind of limited budget. So if your shtick is to find all of these games on a budget, it's never going to happen. There's not enough of certain really rare and obscure games to go around that you can find them for next to nothing. And I really think one other thing we really need to be completely aware of when it comes to retro collecting is that, first of all, you need to have a goal in mind as to what you're going to collect. I think it's I don't want to say it's impossible, but to get a complete NES collection, I'd say your chances are slim to none. And Slim is on its way out the door and getting ready to drive away in a Ferrari, because certain games like Stadium Events and Nintendo World Championships and a lot of the more obscure black cart games, you're just not enough out there to find, and the numbers of them are so small that even if you could find them, they're going to cost you a lot of money. But I guess the reason why the question itself bugged me so much was because I think we need to be very honest about this hobby in and of itself, because there seems to be some misconception about gaming as a whole. See, the thing here is, and a good friend of mine pointed this out, gaming is a hobby, okay? And when people get together, that's the community. I've never really been one for calling something like a gaming community, because a group of people sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. A group of people already together is already considered a community of sorts, depending on the number of people or a group who just happen to be gamers. And for some reason, when it comes to collecting for a certain console, a lot of that bugs me now, because people they've really exploited retro collecting to the point where, unless the market completely falls apart, there's no chance of people really getting into it and finding those games for decent prices. I mean, we're talking about people who have started from just buying it cheap and selling it at the flea market to people flat out making fakes and selling them on eBay. I don't know. It's not a hobby I've necessarily come to enjoy as of late. I can't enjoy myself as much when I go out looking for video games, and the main reason for it now is because, first of all, because I mainly collect for Sony. I collect PlayStation 2, 3, 4, and if it's anything I think is something I'd want, I would hold on to it. So the problem I'm having with that is it's to me, the fun's just not there anymore. And this is where a lot of people are going to disagree, and by all means disagree. I'm not saying you can't, but I am going to call out a few things on it, because I think we also need to be aware of the world we're living in when it comes to game collecting. Okay, number one is this: it's not cheap, and not everyone has the finances that are better off. I mean, I have seen some stuff that has pissed me off so much to the point where I just don't even want to make videos anymore or any kind of content, of people going out and spending ridiculous amounts of money on all these games and then turning around and making us sound like, look what I found. Well, there's a difference between going out and spending hundreds of dollars on eBay to fill a collection than someone who's like, hey, I found this really rare game at a Salvation Army for like $1. It's not the same thing, and we need to stop pretending that it is. And the reason why it pisses me off is because it's people who have the money that dictate the hobby. It's the same thing for nearly every other hobby. If you have the money, 9 times out of 10, you're going to reap the benefits of it. more so than anything else. It's the same thing with tabletop card games. You have the money to invest in the cards, you can make the really good decks, and then you can go to tournaments, win store credit, buy more shit. That's how it's been since the beginning of ever. It's the same thing here. If you have the connections, it makes it harder to get into it if you're not part of that network. The next thing, it's the network of people who get involved. There's too many people in the hobby who collect for the sole purpose of reselling. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. My issue are those who take it one step further and make it impossible to A, find anything, and B, buy it at a considerable rate. I have literally watched people go into Thrifty Shoppers, pull a stack of games off the counter, okay, buy them, and then I'll go on Craigslist and within like a matter of days, and I'll see a vague posting of lot of games, and it's ironic, and this is 100% confirmed. I was there, I watched it with my own eyes. These people literally got a stack of 5 games. It was Jak and Daxter, Outlaw Golf 2 and 3, a copy of God of War, and then I believe the other one was like Need for Speed Underground. 5 very uncommon, or I'm sorry, 5 very common games, not hard to find at all. Literally saw the post on Craigslist. 3 days later, somebody was selling all 5 of those PS2 games, and they wanted almost $7 to $8 a pop. And I know for a fact they were trying to make their money back plus a few bucks, because all the thrifty stores where I live, they mark all of their games between $3 and $6, no matter what it is. More so than not, PlayStation 2 are always $5 games, always. So it's things like that that make it really hard for me to do what I do. Now, granted, I know a few people who buy and sell, and they have amazing prices. And to the 2 people who I do that with who are listening, you're the reason why I'm still collecting for Sony, because you guys give me great prices. For the people who have made it next to impossible to buy anything cart-based, that's the reason why I no longer collect Nintendo or Genesis or Super Nintendo. It is just way too difficult to buy games for that. And the prices are, in my opinion, are not worth the hassle. Now again, this is all, it's all up for debate, and you don't have to agree with me. That's fine. I'm the kind of person where I have to game on a budget because I'm paying off things I need to pay off. I have a baby on the way. You know, we have bills, and I don't exactly have the thousands of dollars to spend every month on stuff like that. So when I have people telling me that I just don't understand, cough up the money, you need to understand too that when you're exactly in the position that you're in, where you get to have that kind of disposable income, it's not the same thing. So remember that the next time you want to show off your huge lot of games, and just remember, you may not have had a problem spending several $100s with that, but when you're throwing it in the face of other people, okay, that is the problem I have. And again, this is not directed at anybody. This is kind of a venting video, I guess. But I also want to make one more thing very, very clear, and that is the whole thing of community. And this, I guess this could be like the sour grapes section of it. We need to firmly establish one very important thing, that while many people do collect games, the communities are not the same. There are certain groups that exist within this larger community, if you want to say that, and that's why I don't like that word, is because there are people who exist inside of that term who do not represent it the best. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to draw any conclusions, and I ask you not to do the same. Okay? There are some people who portray themselves in a certain light, and they have every right to do that. They have every right to do that. They have every right to do what they want for their channel for the sake of creativity and freedom of speech, and anyone else that goes on their channel and criticizes them for that because you don't agree with it, remember, they allow you to do the same, so you should do the same back. If the worst thing you can do to someone, the worst thing you can ever possibly do to a channel is not give them any attention. It's the same thing with handling online trolls. If you ignore them, guess what? You can't give them the power. It's just like with real life. If you don't feed into drama, then it can't exist. But as a whole, self is built into certain groups, and I do understand and appreciate that, because not everybody is going to get along, and everyone has their own their cliques and their little factions, and that really doesn't bug me. The drama between them gets really, really, really ridiculous at times. But I think what we all need to do, and this is where it's gonna all come together. I think one thing we really need to be aware of is that we're all people. We're all human beings. We're all in this for very different reasons. But I think altogether, I think we can at least say that we're doing this for the sake of putting on a product that we want people to enjoy in some way. So I honestly feel that retro collecting as a whole can still be enjoyable. I feel that if you just narrow down your field a little bit, you set yourself a nice little budget, and you just have fun with what you're doing, and that's really all that matters. If someone does something on their channel that you don't like, who cares? Ignore it. Sure to get pissed off at somebody who does not care about you. Because I'll tell you one thing, that person is not going to go to bed at the end of the day and worry about what you think about them. If you're the kind of person where you feel like the hobby is dying, I understand why. It's because you're sick of the scumbag scalpers and the people who make this hobby extremely difficult to enjoy. Or maybe there's people within the community you just do not agree with. And I'm going to kind of leave it with this. When you get into retro collecting, you do it for the love of the game. If someone has stopped you from appreciating it, then you were never in it for the games to begin with. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. Kind of just going on a whim here, doing my own thing. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify on that. And again, I don't want anyone to feel that I'm disregarding them or being unappreciative. It is really, really difficult to get into this hobby with the mindset you're going to have complete collections, and and especially with YouTube, it's ridiculous. It is so difficult to get into YouTube, because I honestly feel now that with YouTube, it has to come with some kind of warning of you may often feel rejection, anxiety, and depression, because so many people want to get into it for so many reasons. And if they don't have like the triple digit into quad digit followers, then everyone loses their minds. And I'm part of that equation too. Like, so many people are like, oh my gosh, nobody wants to follow me. No one wants to be my friend. But it should be for fun. This whole thing should be for fun. If you're not willing to enjoy what's going on, then maybe you're not in it for all the right reasons. I know many times I got into this hobby and I experienced my fair share of scores as well as my fair shares of failures. But that doesn't mean you should stop. Trying to catch my breath here. Like right now, I'm working on mainly Sony stuff, as I said before, and I'm having a good time with it. And right now I'm focusing on PS4 stuff because I'm paying off GameStop, because that does get expensive. That's my phone. Hold on one second. Hello. For crying out loud. Anyway, it's you should be doing this because you want to do it, not because you want to get the YouTube money, which I'm telling you right now is not. It's not going to happen right away. It takes a long time, and you need to get a lot of views. Like, my goal when YouTube was to make videos that I want, and I'm often conflicted with that, with, you know, me getting more subscribers, me hitting a subscriber. That, to me, it feels like it's a challenge. He's getting a copy. Yeah, hold on. Part of it's like a goal for me. Like, I want to hit a certain number of subscribers, and like it's just goals. It's a hobby for me, but I'm also setting goals. It's to get better and better and better, and, you know, hopefully put out a product that people like. And there has to be the understanding that you just may not get there, and that's okay. Comic Book University is telling me Humble's getting a copyright strike for that. I'd like to see him try. You're going to have to step in line. They've already copyrighted 2 things. Sorry, I got a voicemail. I totally got... wife called for work. I got to go pick her up soon. So, yeah, they copyright striked 2 Let's Plays. Absolutely. It's so stupid. I was Let's playing Lego Jurassic Park on PS4, and somebody made a copyright claim or a strike. I don't remember what it was, saying, like, you're using copyrighted material. And apparently whoever did it failed to understand that when you're streaming from the PS4, Sony has the license now to stream whatever games they have released in their library. And basically what happens is, if someone makes the claim, somebody can very easily, like I myself can very easily refute that claim, and it could actually come back and affect them negatively. So, I mean, by all means, if you want to flag PS4 share or live shared game videos, be my guest, because I also know for a fact that YouTube is starting to crack down on that nonsense. So, anyway, I don't want to get into too much. I got to get going. But just wanted to share that, and I hope that kind of cleared it up a little bit. Anyway, I don't want anyone to feel that there's any negativity surrounding this. I do appreciate any and all support I do get, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook or in real life. And I just want to say I love you all very, very much. And here's to the future. And as always, I will see you all later.